Hello, welcome back to another AP3 video. In today's video, we'll be going over AP Environmental Science, topic 6.2, Global Energy Consumption. So what are the trends in energy consumption around the world? The use of resources isn't evenly distributed between developed and developing countries. Developed countries will use more energy than non-developed countries, and this is really important. 20% of the population uses 80% of energy. And this is not a precise number, it's kind of like an estimation. So what are the most widely used sources of energy globally? Always going to be fossil fuels. Since the Industrial Revolution, fossil fuels have dominated as being the major source of energy. And coal was the first major source during the revolution, but now has been replaced with petroleum. And nuclear isn't really used globally now, but it was popular in the 70s, but as time progressed, it has died off. And renewable resources are increasing little by little. Again, fossil fuels are the most dominant resource worldwide, and it's expected to be like that for time as it passes through. So what's the trend in energy as developed countries become developed? So let's say you walk first, and then you would want a bike, and then you want a car, and let's say perhaps some people are using airplanes. Where am I going with this? As we're going from bike to car to plane, the fossil fuel use is increasing. So as developing countries become developed, the use of fossil fuel will increase. So as countries develop, their reliance on fossil fuels for energy increases, and sources of technologies developed in those countries, and the technologies typically will use lots of energy coming from fossil fuels. And when countries go through a demographic transition, they'll use more technology, and the need for technology also increases. So as the world becomes more industrialized, the demand for energy increases. Developing countries are mainly using manual labor. So let's say, for example, that developing countries are indeed mainly using manual labor. Maybe at first, they're pre-industrial, they're using shovels, but as they're becoming more industrialized, they're using manual for manual labor. And then after, they're using trucks or vehicles for manual labor. And then after, using power plants for manual labor. So again, as we're going from pre-industrial to industrial, the demand for energy is increasing, mainly, again, fossil fuels. So as developing countries begin to develop, there's going to be a higher demand for fossil fuels. So now, what energy source do people use? There's a lot of factors that come in play here. Well, we have availability. What fuels can consumers get? So let's say, for example, in developing countries, they're going to have more access to a lot more resources like gasoline and plants because they're more industrialized and developed. But in non-developed countries, they're probably going to use more manual labor instead of gasoline because it's going to be less industrialized and less developed than developed and more industrialized countries. And now we're going to talk about price, supply, and demand. A lot of countries have different economies. So the economy is really high. There's a lot of availability to get a lot of resources. But if a country has, unfortunately, a lower economy, the demand and supply for resources is going to be a little bit lower because the economy is low. So higher economy, the ability for supplies is higher, and we have low economy, the demands for goods is going to be a little bit lower. And government regulation, there can be like, what fuels can consumers get? And that's everything we need to know for 6.2. This is another AP3 video. Thank you for watching.